Underrated and Overlooked podcast. We're excited to be with you guys today. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We got so much to talk about as far as news in sports, high school, college, and then also NFL. It's a big weekend. Um, how you feeling, Craig?
I'm feeling great. You know, ever since Najee started at the beginning of this football season, it has been an exciting ride just through the weeks. And it's like every single thing that Najee brings up, whether recruits that's under the radar, they blow up. And then to have the Chiefs and Bengals squaring off, it's been an incredible year. It's only going to get better.
Yeah, that's going to be epic, man. Bills and Chiefs rematch, AFC rematch. A lot of respect for the Chiefs. Two Bengal fans in here to one Chiefs fan so far. But it'll be interesting, all friendly love. But yeah, man, I can't wait. And speaking of what Craig brought up, let's go ahead and move to high school. So much to talk about. A lot of offers. I'll start it up. Man, I don't know. Like I said yesterday on his podcast, so this is my first football off season, but I've seen so many moves. I mean, it's crazy. So this past week, you had Bailey Stockton. He received the Georgia Tech offer. Aaron Filer received the Georgia Southern and a Georgia Tech offer. Ed Dudley was named Blessed Trinity's new football coach. Ben Guthrie, who played in our Georgia League Classic game, picked up a Georgia Tech and a Georgia State offer. Kyrie Spain picked up Arkansas State offer. Trajan Greco picked up a Vanderbilt offer. So a lot of major news, and I think Antoine Hill picked up another offer recently as well. I forget the school, might have been UNC Charlotte, but he picked up another offer this week too.
Yep, those are some of the best 2024 prospects right there. Trajan Greco, Kyer Spain, and then you said Antoine Hill. I think with Trajan, though, I'm excited about that Vanderbilt offer. I thought he had a great season for Mill Creek. He had 5 interceptions, I think 19 pass breakups. So he's just a smart player. He's a baller. He also is great on the basketball court. And then I'm happy for Kyer Spain. He's been doing it since he was an underclassman, rushing yards every game. He was such a huge part of that Parkview system that really struggled to run the ball before he got plugged into it. He balanced it out, made them a dangerous team. They had some good weeks, some bad weeks this season, but he was a constant for them. He's a great back. So I think that Arkansas offers huge. And then I really like the Trajan Greco one, and he's going to have to step up big next season for Mill Creek for sure. But I think he has that star power to do it, and he's definitely getting recognized.
Yeah, and then the other two was obviously Bailey Stockton and Aaron Follow. For me, that stood out. Those were Craig standouts. Mine were those two. They went to Prince Avenue Christian. They had three 1,000-yard receivers this past year. Fowler's a junior, Stockton's a senior, and then Ethan Christen's a senior as well. So they're going to be graduating. I think signing day is about 2-3 weeks away. So I mean, it's really good that they're picking up these major offers, especially for Stockton. Again, he played with a broken collarbone in the state championship game, and they won. And he's been picking up some really good offers. And Tech, like I said, another school that's on the rise, and offering a lot of players that are in Georgia. So I definitely think both of them can make some noise. It'd be interesting to see what route these guys decide to go, because they got major D1 offers now. And like I said, ACC is really good football. So definitely happy and excited for them, and especially Guthrie. As Craig alluded to yesterday, he was 3-8 prior to this season before they went to the playoffs. With Jason Kirvin on the head coach, but I like what he's dealing with that program. They had a shot at a region championship this past season playing Roswell. It came up just a little bit short, but they made the playoffs. They got second round, lost to Rome, and I thought he really showed out in the Georgia League Classic, and now that's it's helping, and he's got more tape he can show coaches, and now he's starting to pick up offers. So
Yeah, I want to talk about Prince Avenue, but let's go to Bing Guthrie first.
yep.
When he got plugged in as a sophomore, he only completed 96 passes. But keep in mind, Alpharetta wasn't making deep runs to the playoffs. They were actually, I think, 3-8 his junior season. But so his sophomore season, 96 of 148. So he's still completing at a really high percentage. Passed for 1,600 yards, 9 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. So you start to see it there. It's like, okay, this guy has that accuracy.
Yep.
They don't really trust him to come in and try to pass for 250, 300 yards per game. Junior season, same thing with that 68 percentage. He goes 138 of 205, nearly 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns. This past season, the jump he took is unbelievable.
Yeah.
212 of 330 passing. No, sorry, 212 completions, 3,368 yards, 38 touchdowns.
That's crazy.
Astronomical. And then he also showed his mobility. He took 86 carries, scored 7 touchdowns on the ground. I think with him, it's just the jump he made. And that's
Yep.
what is standing out to coaches, seeing him late. And just, it's also that word of mouth. It's when another coach plays him and that quarterback's real good,
Yep.
that has a huge impact in the recruiting world that will help raise your stock. And then I just think at Prince Avenue Christian, something unique's happening there. Just the system they run, the quarterback play with Brock Vandergriff, what he did. You have Coach Rick's son there. He's the offensive coordinator. They're averaging like 480 yards per game. It's nearly 250 higher than the national average. They have a unique offense there. It will be hard to replace all those receivers next season, but I just think the other thing that's interesting is how the Philo and Bailey Stockton offers are kind of following each other to the day.
Yeah.
And then you look at Bailey Stockton, he goes to Georgia Southern, gets an offer there on January 18th. 2 days later, he visits Tech.
Yep.
And then the next day, he gets an offer.
Yep.
So there's also this in-state competition where Georgia Tech sees Georgia Southern offer him. Then they bring him in. They send an offer. So there's definitely a battle going on right now. And then they have that freedom to choose. And who knows, maybe Stockton will follow Aaron Philo to the next spot. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, it would be because Stockton's a senior and then Philo's a junior, so it'd be interesting to see. Okay, hey bro, I'm going to Tech. Okay, shoot, I might go with you over there to Tech too.
Right, the opposite way. Yeah,
yeah.
Philo
So
follows him.
it'd be intriguing to see, and you got to think about the quality of football. Not that Sun Belt is not quality football. It's not what I'm saying here, but you got mid-major football, Sun Belt, and then you got ACC football where you have more of a chance to possibly contend. If you come out usually number one without major losses, you can contend for a college football playoff spot. ACC compared to Sun Belt, you're gonna have to work a little bit harder. So it's something to think about too. And then Sun Belt, you probably get a little bit more playing time and get more opportunity. So something you kind of have to grapple as a player. What's best for you? But yeah, like you said, great point. Possibly you can see those two follow each other. What did you think of the hiring? I saw you posted a picture on his Twitter to Ed Dudley when we did the Georgia High School Football Hall of Fame this past season. Tell me a little bit about him. I know he was at Winterboro. He was at Winterboro, but tell me about the impact you think he can have on that Blessed Trinity program that's kind of been knocking on the door, but just hasn't gotten fully through. They've won some state championships, but recently, they haven't been able to get through. What do you think about the hire?
Yeah, well, first off on BT, what's interesting is Steele Chambers, their former running back, and Dominique Blaylock, they came up together and actually played youth football. Dominic Blaylock transferred to Ohio State, so they're back together. So that's that BT connection. Steele Chambers was there. With Coach Dudley, he was my high school coach at Walton back in the day. He did a great job of just really turning Walton. I said Gwinnett County was always the dominant one, and there's been some great teams out of Cobb, North Cobb, McEachern, but really the constant that would show up every year, challenge for regions, just have that annual excellence. That was Walton. Coach Dudley was there to help lay that foundation. That's why the field house is named after him. So he stayed there for a long time, had some great seasons, had some great assistants work beneath him. Rocky Hidalgo, he eventually took over after that. He's at Glenn now. And then Coach Dudley left to take the Ware County job. He led them to a state championship. They actually lost in the finals to Deshaun Watson at Gainesville. Then he took over the Carrollton job, had a short stint there. He took over for Raven Teague. They replaced a lot of their guys. And so I think they went out after losing in the second round. A tough season. You got to win championships at Carrollton or they're going to police escort you out of there. Hey, get your stuff. And then after that, he went to Winterboro. And I thought if you look at them, they played tough schedule, tough classification, obviously. Just had a lot of close games. They might not have had the athleticism to get over the hump there, but I just think he comes in with all that experience as a head coach at those places, always has a great defense. I just think it's a good fit because of the the day to day. You know that he's going to be able to come in there. Uh, Blessed Trinity, it's a Catholic school. They really have a solid community around it. He's going to come in. That's going to be a seamless transition, and then you just focus on the football aspect after that. So I think he has good leadership, great experience. Uh, he's a really personable coach. I mean, he gets to know the players. He's a great man, so I'm excited for him.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good move, and I'm excited to see kind of what happens. But keeping it going, what else stood out for you, Craig, as far as latest news and recruitment? We've had coaches retiring, coaches picking up new offers, and uh, going to different schools. You have some players committing. We have players picking up major offers. Past couple of weeks. Just what stood out to you the most as far as the past couple of weeks in news and recruitment?
I think just Aaron Philo blowing up. He had that original offer. I think it was UTC. To see him getting these big in-state looks, I think it almost says a lot about just the style of play that they're running at Prince Avenue. And I'm interested to see how much better he can get, because if you watch Prince Avenue play, um, to our audio listeners, you aren't going to be able to kind of see. So I'll try to lay it out. But the way they run, it's a snap to him. He's in the shotgun or whatever. His entire body will turn to the right. His receivers get open. He goes back and just fires it. So he's not even, he has a quick release, but it's all about like that deception. So he's going to lose a lot of those receivers, but I think because of that, they're going to be able to plug new guys in. And then how does he continue to improve the other things? The deep ball is great, but in that current system, it is about just set hike, look to the right, and then hit and stride. So he just has like a quick release. They have that air raid attack, but I think it will be a big year for him just replacing those receivers. If he can keep up the production again, I think it will be a good fit for him. But I just think it's been interesting how he's blown up. And then there were some other ones that I thought was interesting. Tyler Glover, he was the big tight end at Whitewater this year, 6'5", 225. He just picked up Charleston Southern today.
Nice.
And then Grayson, Marlon Corey, he was their offensive tackle. He picked up an offer from Coastal Carolina. So we've seen the new coach come in at Grayson. We've seen Adam Carter leave, but those guys that didn't sign in the early signing period, they're starting to land where they're going to land. Denmark, Shi Ojerkiri, he's an athlete. He just signed with Stanford a little bit ago. That's a big
Nice.
one. Um, we'll see what side of the ball he plays on. And then South Gwinnett, Tamir Burton, their linebacker, just signed at Charlotte. So starting to see it. Signing days right around the corner, less than, I think, 2 weeks. So, yeah, we didn't see much yesterday in terms of the actual commitments, but we're starting to see it now.
Yeah, those are some major offers for those athletes. I mean, I know I've been seeing it the last couple of weeks, so major news. And like Craig said, only a couple of weeks left, man, till we hit signing day. So it'll be interesting to see where these kids are gonna go when they officially sign. Because like I said, commitment is good, but in the day, guys can switch up at any moment of time. It's when that hits that pin hits that dotted line, and you got a signature across. That's when it's official. So it'll be interesting to see. But Craig, you've interviewed some coaches the past couple of weeks. um, new coaches and new spots. What was your biggest takeaway from those coaches you interviewed, and just what stood out to you when you talked to them?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to get on, but I think the biggest takeaway is the coaches that are landing now before spring practice. That is such an advantage for them to hit the ground running. We have seen it where coaches can come in late, but there's just so much you have to do with your new staff. And then what people might not take into account, obviously coaches understand this, but like Coach Dudley is now going to be at Blessed Trinity. If he wants to bring in any assistant, there has to be a teaching slot open for that coach.
Mm,
So let's say you're a coach at another school, you coach history. It's like, well, we don't have a history teaching job open. Or let's say you teach math. So there's just a lot you have to
I didn't know that.
account for. Yeah. So that's why a lot of times, I mean, at like a school like Walton, some really quality teachers there. So you have to, yeah, you have to have that opening. They have to work things around. So that's the big thing. So the earlier you're able to do that, the better. A lot of these coaches, they might not join them officially until next fall because the semester's already started. But I think when we talk to first couple of coaches that were able to get in November, they have been able to do that. And I think in his case, going to Vidalia, he didn't really, because he was there before, then he went somewhere else, then he went back. He didn't have to hire any staff members to make the move with him. I think a similar situation might be at play at Grayson with him going to Grayson to Gainesville and back. So there's a lot of those jobs where the former coach didn't get fired. He just stepped down, meaning the head coach stepped down. That usually leaves more of the staff in place than if you have a bad season, they fire you. Usually it's a clean house approach. So it'll be interesting to see who they kind of fill in those assistant spots for sure. I mean, it's tough.
I mean, you definitely educated me. I did not know that that spot, whatever they teach in, has to be available for the assistants. I just thought I know that they have to coach for sure. I know they have to teach the assistants. I didn't know that that spot has to be available for them to
Yeah,
go over. So
and
that's
so the top ones, it's like
yeah,
the PE job and the weight training job. But yeah, if you're a coach that is in the, I guess, the academic side of things,
yeah.
it's sometimes hard to fill those spots.
That makes sense. Okay. Well, that's something to keep an eye on. Yeah, I really liked your interview you had last week. It was coach, I think it was Jackson County. He came from Tennessee 2 years there and came back down. Thought that
Oh
was a
yeah, that's
really
Corey Mobs.
Corey Mobs. Yeah, that was a really good interview, I thought, and learning from him and what things you kind of picking his brain when he learned from Tennessee, and now kind of glad to be back in Georgia. And that interview really stood out to me. So, I mean, I can't wait to see it, man. We got so much movement this off season. We still got spots available. Like I said, Centennial job is still up there, hasn't been filled yet. It's a bunch of opportunities out of Collins Hill. I don't think it's been filled yet. So it'd be interesting to see what direction these schools go in and how quickly, as Craig alluded to, they can fill these spots. Because, like you said, you want to get that advantage early and being able to go to spring practice, knowing who your assistants are, and having everything in place, and meeting with the players and all that. So I think that's key. You're right, Craig. But we're gonna leave our high school section for there. Not too much going on right now. Just as far as just new coaches, news, and players recruiting and things like that, and players picking up offers. But yeah, we will have a episode. I think it's February. What's signing day? February 10th, 13th.
Yes, and one more thing. Coach Dudley did also coach at Wesleyan, so he has been in the private school thing. I left that one out.
Got you. But yeah, I'm not sure when signing day is, but when it is, we'll have full coverage for that. All the major Georgia prospects going and signing with schools. We'll definitely be covering that on our podcast that day as well. So definitely tune into that. But we're gonna keep it going. Move to our college section. Adonai Mitchell transfers to Texas. So I thought to you, Craig, and I'll conclude. What's your thoughts on that move? How beneficial do you think it is for Texas, and how big of a loss for Georgia?
I mean, he played, I think, the most snaps of any receiver this last year, but you look at the numbers. I mean, his first season, he had 19 catches, 4 of them went for touchdowns. The guy can score. I mean, he's not getting a lot of catches. I think going to play for Steve Sarkisian at Texas, the system they run, I just think he wants to be in a more pass-oriented system and get those numbers up and build his career to the next level. So if I won 2 national championships, you might think, okay, what's next for me? Do I want to stay here while we try to build a third? We got a new quarterback coming in, all these new pieces, or do I want to go here? They want me to go there. They think I can be that guy. So I think it's a enticing offer. And Steve Sarkisian, obviously, man, he always just keeps coming up. But I mean, he does run an exciting offense. So I think that's kind of the appeal there. He just wants to be a guy that's in the range to possibly have the 10 touchdown season, the 1,000-yard receiving. I mean, he was a really valuable piece for Georgia. I mean, absolutely played more snaps than anyone else, but I just think he wants to go to a more pass-oriented offense.
Yeah, I think it's a great move for him. Obviously, won the 2 titles when he played in the playoff games. He seemed like he had a touchdown in each game. He came up big in the Peach Bowl against Ohio State. Had a touchdown, I think, the game winner. He came up big when they won their first title against Michigan. He had touchdowns in that game. So think it's a big move, man. I mean, Arch Manning's already at the campus. He's already, what I'm
And
saying,
that's another
taking the
thing. He's
classes.
only going to be a junior, so
Right.
yeah.
So then you got him coming in, and then we'll see what happens with Quinn Edwards if he's going to remain the starter there. But obviously, like you alluded to, great, that's going to be a passing offense. So I think it's going to suit him well. We've seen how much they like to air the ball out, and it's a team that's again, Texas, another team on the rise. I mean, they just a couple pieces away from being a really good team. They've competed against Alabama last year. They did lose, but it was a 1 point loss. The defense played well in that game. If Edwards didn't get hurt, you can make the argument they would have won that game. So I think it's a good move for him.
Very true point. And bringing a receiver like him with all that experience, I mean, that's a winner right there.
Yep.
And so, I mean, he knows how to go up against those SEC defensive backs.
Yep. And I think it just preparing. So the biggest question mark for them would be obviously, will Quinn Edwards remain the quarterback, or will it be Manning starting as a true freshman? And then the second is they're going to lose their best running back in Bijan Robinson. So how are they going to fill that void? Who's going to be the starter come week one? I think those are big questions to ask. But I think he made a good move. And I didn't know Dominic Blaylock, just to kind of follow that up, went to Ohio State, is another player that played for Georgia, but transferred out, bought into the system. But now, again, I think we'll have a great opportunity. Obviously, CJ Stroud won't be there, so we'll see who the starting quarterback will be. But I think he'll definitely have a lot of opportunities in the office along with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Oh, 100%. I found out last night. I was just on his Twitter, and he had a picture of him with Steel Chambers back when they were like playing Pee Wee, and he was like, "I'm reconnected," and I didn't even put that together that they were buddies and played on those youth teams. And what people don't realize about Dom, he got his first offer in the 8th grade. He got offered by South Carolina in the 8th grade. So,
Wow.
and so did Steel Chambers. Actually, he received, I think it might have even been a UGA offer. But these were middle schoolers that were already on the recruiting map. So it's nice to see them kind of getting to play together again, be teammates again. But back to Texas, what do you think is going to happen though with that quarterback battle? Because I think that is one of the interesting aspects of the offseason for sure, right there.
Yeah, I mean it's tough because Edwards, when he was healthy, especially early in the season, he played well. You seen him kind of play falter off like towards the end of the season, but I think he's a guy who can get the job done. But then it's like
That Manning name.
you got that name, you got that Manning name, and he's a guy that can fling the football. So it's like at the end of the day, I know Sarkisian is gonna make the best decision for his team and whoever gives him the best chance to win. But it definitely won't be easy. Manning is the kind of player he may sit a season, maybe. But if not, if he comes out and just balls out and he's doing great things in spring practices and camp and the spring game, I mean, you got to go with your best player. So, we'll see. But I think, as you said, that's going to be an interesting battle because Texas is a team. They only got, 1 or 2 more years before they move to the SEC. So, they got to start getting ready for these, major, big games and landing these top, prospects like they've been doing the last couple of years has been helping. So, we'll see if they can finally get over the hump. And I think it's been some years since they've went to a Big 12 championship as well.
100%. It's like all they're missing. They almost had it last year, as you mentioned, but they just need like that big, exciting win, get the program back on the map.
Yep.
Too many people. It's like they see them. It's like, I mean, they had some really down years, but they've been on the rise. But it's like they're so close to getting that excitement really back there.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I think they need that big signature key win. They've yet to get it. They almost got it last year. I think Alabama would have been a signature win, but so close, but just couldn't get it done. But we'll see if they're able to next year. But I think that's a great point. And let's speak on another team, Colorado. Cormani McClain, he was flipped. Josh Sanders did a good job. He was going to go to Miami, flipped to Colorado. Really big wingspan, as you mentioned, too. Very long. Not the biggest dude. Only about 165 pounds, but 6'3". I mean, if you think about that tandem with him and Travis Hunter, I mean, that's a dangerous secondary potentially. Playing at that position, we'll see what happens as far as their other positions, the wide receivers. They are. I think they were for a long time, a good 3-4 weeks. They were a top team as far as the transfer portal goes and getting players. So we've seen some major Georgia players committing there. We got another Georgia player that's interested in Caleb Odom, as we mentioned last week in our show. So they got some superior talent trying to come over there to Colorado. So, but what did you think of his Cormani McClain flipping to Colorado?
Well, when I saw him, I think it was Thanksgiving before their playoff game, his junior season, saw him practice, just seeing him on the field. I'm like, that guy reminds me of Travis Hunter, the way he was built, his athleticism, and then obviously got to see him play in some games. The Lowndes game, he balled out. That was a televised matchup. He was incredible. And the way people describe him, he's just a freak athlete. He's about 6'3", 165 pounds. There's not an ounce of fat on him. He's built like Usain Bolt. And then his play is similar to Travis. It's that catch radius. It's the ability to just go up and make these interceptions, land on his feet, make people miss, and turn it into a return. And then his break on the ball. He's so quick. He's got that long catch radius to bat down balls. I mean, he's just a dangerous guy to throw to, and it's funny because now Travis and Cromartie are going to be in the same secondary potentially. So, two of the most athletic high school players I've seen for sure. And you look at that. I mean, the question is, how good is their secondary going to be? Well, those two cornerbacks right there are outstanding. And then there's been a lot of talk about the transfers that they've gotten in. I looked at it. They have 23 transfers so far from 16 different schools.
Mm.
So it wasn't just the Jackson State guys coming in.
No,
It's
all
from
over.
West Virginia. It's from San Jose State. It's from Arkansas, Ole Miss, Kentucky, you name it. And so we've never seen a team like this get so many transfers from different schools. So it's just going to be interesting all around. But I think with those two guys in the secondary that can tackle like they can, I think it's really exciting.
Yeah, it is. I can't wait to see, as we know with football, and like we just mentioned with Texas, it takes time to build. You need that signature win, and I think it's going to be intriguing to see. And I have the schedule pulled up. I'm going to mention the game I think is really going to be possibly the early possible game of the year with them. But it's to see how quickly it can come together. And will it be a season? Will it be 2 seasons? Will it be a couple of games? And then what's kind of I don't want to say the word leash, but how much will they give Deion Sanders? Like, let's say the first season is a disappointment. How long are they going to allow him to build? Because a lot of times you see things. It takes time to build. NFL is a good example of that. You'll see, first season the team is 3-14, as we've seen with Jacksonville. This year they came back with a new head coach and they're 9-8. So it's like, it takes time to build, but that didn't happen in the first or second season. So you got to see how everything is going to pan out. So it'll be interesting to see how long they have success. Is it immediate or will it take time? That's intriguing. But I do want to mention early possible game of the year. Okay, so going into next season, this is going to be the game of the year. Got Colorado versus USC. It's going to be a home game in Colorado. Why I say the early possible game of the year? You have USC, Caleb Williams, Heisman Trophy winner, pretty much regarded as the best quarterback in college football. A lot of talent. He is losing his best receiver in Jordan Addison, who's declaring for the draft. But it's a team that was knocking on the door. They just could not beat Utah. For whatever reason, they could not beat Utah last year. They couldn't beat them in the regular season. They couldn't beat them in the Pac-12 championship to try to go to the college football playoff. I don't know what it was, but they just couldn't do it. So next year, obviously, they're going to try to get further. I think Lincoln Riley's doing a good job with that group and that team. But we'll see how they look next year. But I think matching up, if we just kind of semi-preview the matchup, obviously we don't know what the starting roster is going to be. But obviously Caleb Williams is going to be the starter. Matching up that offense against that defense, how good is that Colorado defense going to be? Along with that secondary, that everything is going to be pretty potent. But the defensive line, can they create pressure? Who's going to be the starting D lineman? What about the linebacker position? What about the safeties over top? I think that's intriguing. Then on the other side of the ball, how good is Colorado's offense going to be at that point? That game is going to be scheduled to be the 5th game of the year, so probably around like October. So at that point, you've gotten a good kind of, spiel to see, how your team's been working so far. So I think that is going to be one of the games to watch next year, and it might have a possible bearing on the Pac-12 championship and who gets in and who goes. So I think that'll be intriguing. But a quick look ahead to Colorado's schedule. So
That's awesome. I was just about to ask. I wish I had their schedule.
Yeah. So their first game is pretty tough. I'm not gonna lie. Despite what you guys may say, oh well, TCU got blown out in a college football championship, but they played the animal. They played Georgia. But that's still gonna be a tough game on the road. TCU, I'm pretty sure they're gonna have Max Duggan again unless he goes to the draft, but I haven't heard anything on him. Second is Nebraska. Winnable game. Colorado State. Their stretch after the first 2 games is tough. Oregon on the road, USC at home. It's not going to be easy.
That's a tough schedule.
That's a tough schedule, those two right there. Then they got Arizona State on the road. Stanford is still kind of in a rebuild. They lost David Shaw as their coach. UCLA on the road. That's going to be an interesting one as well. Oregon State home, Arizona home, Washington State on the road, Utah on the road. So that they end the season with 2 road games. Those would be interesting to see.
Yeah, say what you want about Colorado. That's a really solid schedule right there.
Yeah.
I think the reason it's so exciting, we get to see it play out at lightning speed. Everyone talks about wanting to build a team, build a college program.
Yep.
They're getting guys that have playing experience from, as I mentioned, Ole Miss, bringing in edge rushers to build that defense. I think that's going to be a key. The question is going to be what side of the ball is going to come out strong first. It's like,
Yeah.
is the defense going to lead them? Is the offense going to be able to kind of get working, get comfortable, find out what they have this year? But I think there are obvious expectations there. I mean, Dion's not just going to come there and put slogans around saying be great. These guys are going to get pushed. I feel like no one really in this situation has those, as I said, promises or guarantees for a spot.
Right.
Even the transfers that are coming in, it wasn't like, oh, come here, you're guaranteed to have this spot. There's going to be position battles. So I think that's what's really interesting, just being able to see this process in light speed play out, and then combine that with a tough schedule out the gates. They're going to be putting in that work preparing right now. But I think it also adds an element where the opponents aren't really going to know what Colorado is going to, what they're going to look like coming out of the gates. So can they kind of maximize that roster talent early, get momentum going? I think that's going to be the obvious goal and challenge for them.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, the first couple of games, no team going to really have a lot of film, and it'll probably be tougher towards mid to late season because teams will have a lot of film on you and kind of know your tendencies, what you like to do. So you obviously have to disguise some things, throw some different things their way. So I think that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. But yeah, as you mentioned, how quickly can that come together? Will it be the offense kind of helping the defense that's struggling? Will it be the defense helping the offense that's struggling to score points? It'll just be intriguing to see. Or is it both sides of the ball that's just struggling mightily, not getting anything going? But it'll be interesting to see what comes out, hot for either team and, which one kind of carries the other.
I'm not big on sports betting, but I think it's really interesting when you think about this team. It's like trying to predict the over under of wins this season.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really tough. Or
Yeah.
just out of the gate, the TCU spread. It's like we really have no idea.
None.
I mean, they could come out and just blow us out of the water with the product they have on the field. I think Dion excelled and exceeded expectations at Jackson State. Was obviously not just Dion, the players, the staff, everyone around it that bought in and supported. But I think there's going to be a similar buzz there, but the pressure is definitely on these players at this point. I mean, the spotlight's there.
Yep.
It is a challenge to come in and try to achieve this year one. What was Colorado's record this last season?
2-8.
2-8. So, I mean, it is going to be a tough turnaround, but you factor in all these transfers, the 23 at this point, flipping a bunch of young guys to come in and battle for these starting jobs. It's just going to be an exciting year for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think this will be the this will be the first year. Well, I won't say first year, but this will be a very exciting Pac-12. And interesting part is USC is leaving soon. UCLA is leaving soon. We don't know what's going to happen with Oregon. Colorado's still in the Pac-12. All those movements in a couple of years. But I think this will be one of the more exciting seasons in Pac-12 football in a really long time. And I think the top three, you call me crazy, these will be between USC. Well, I'll do top four. USC. This is in no order either. USC, Colorado, Oregon, and then I think Utah. I think those are going to be, and then maybe UCLA at 5. But those are going to be the teams I think battling for potentially a Pac-12 championship. And like I said, I think it'll be the most intriguing season in Pac-12 football.
Do you think if they get a win over any of those, it's a successful season? I mean, because seriously, when was the last time Colorado beat USC?
I can't remember. Or Oregon. Yeah.
I mean, that's a tough.
I can't remember.
Tough challenge. But I feel like if they can win any of those big matchups, right, I think it says a lot.
I think if they can go plus or minus seven wins for the first season, plus or minus 7 to 8 wins, I think that's a successful season. Yeah. I think if you're exceeding expectation, obviously it'll be to a college football playoff having 10+ wins. That's
Yep,
you're exceeding
just competing
expectations.
every week.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're over 10 wins, you've exceeded expectations to me. I think meeting them will be about 7 to 8 wins because
Yeah,
that's a tough schedule. I
it is
mean,
a really tough
yeah, you don't
schedule.
know what you got, and you play these tough teams, so it'll be intriguing to see.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Man, yeah, and all those transfers. Who else? Let's see. Tavion Beasley, cornerback.
Hmm.
He's coming in. He was probably besides Travis, a 4-star. He's up there. Miles Slusher, a safety from Arkansas. So I feel like they were loaded at corner with their starter and star power, but he's going to be a key spot at that safety role.
Yep.
You also have Kendrick Breedlove coming over from Ole Miss. So I think the secondary does have guys. It's just building an offense that's going to be able to go toe to toe with USC, Oregon.
Like to score a lot of
That's
points.
really tough. But
Yeah.
and who did he hire as the OC? I forgot. Someone,
Oh, I don't remember either.
someone that came from a big program. So I mean, it's going to be a busy and exciting off season there for sure.
Certainly is. And did you have any seen a little bit of writing on there? Did you have a possible game of the year that you wanted to say? Just since you're looking out.
Yeah, I think the FSU Clemson will be big. Clemson
Ooh,
needs
okay.
to they need to rebound from last season for sure.
Yeah.
It left a bad taste in their mouth. We've seen their recruiting class. It almost reminded me of that year where the Carolina Panthers used every one of their draft picks just on the defensive side of the ball. Is Clemson trying to take like a Georgia model and just build a defense that's going to dominate the ACC competition? That'd be interesting to see because offensively they definitely struggled last season, but looks like they bulked up that side again. And then obviously the Tennessee Alabama Tennessee Georgia game will be huge for just the future of the SEC.
It's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about FSU and Clemson. And another point to think about too with those two conferences or just the ACC, it's been a while since we've had a team or just like really competitive ACC football. I'm not saying it hasn't been, but we've had some good games. But just I mean, like teams going neck and neck with each other. More than one team you thought that could possibly win it. We haven't been able to say that in quite some time.
Or an
So
ACC team that really scares everyone.
yeah, like I haven't been
It's
able to say
like,
that since maybe 2017. I think with Trevor Lawrence, maybe. But it's been a long time. So yeah, like you said, a team that's just able just to scare everybody. And we looking for the FSU to get back to the glory days and the Miamis and things like that. The kind of creme de la cremes before Clemson came along in this past era. So we'll see if they can make it more interesting and intriguing. And I think a team like I said have been saying past couple of weeks that could be competitive. I don't know what their record's going to be, but Georgia Tech, I think a team that teams you might used to circle them as just a W, but strongly should consider, what I'm saying, before you do that, I think going into the season.
yep, Tech will be one of the big storylines of fall next season for sure.
Yep.
I think the start of a new era there.
Yes, for sure. And yeah, guys, we'll leave it there as far as our college football, and we'll keep that going as far as going into the off season and major storylines before we hit media days and things like that. So keeping it going though, um, let's talk about our third segment. Divisional round, NFL. Um, Major happenings this weekend. We both went 3-1. I got the Jacksonville pick wrong, and then Craig missed out on
The Bills.
the Bills and Bengals pick. But I can't really blame him for that pick because, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of history there, and things with how it's been looking lately, with how NFL does things. I wouldn't.
But I was completely wrong because I thought your offensive line was going to struggle. It's
Hey,
like
I
that was the
can't blame
complete
you.
opposite.
No, I can't blame you. I mean, going into a divisional playoff game with high stakes, having 3 of 5 year starters all season that play 15 games together out. Again, I totally understand. I mean, I would have said the same. I was nervous going into the game, but credit Frank Pollock, our offensive line coach. He had a great game plan, and yeah, I was surprised too.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from that game, it's like I was definitely impressed with how the Bengals played. I mean, the way they've come together this season, gotten themselves back to this stage, it's incredible. They've gotten no respect from the
None.
media, from anyone, from what they've been doing. Every win is just seen as just a fluke or whatever. It just basically goes uncelebrated. But I did think man, Buffalo's defense really did struggle tackling. I thought Milano played well. Their linebackers did their job, but that secondary, the safeties, they were just confused. They were in a bind all game. Joe Burrow just picked them apart. I think he's better than almost any quarterback at throwing into coverage. I mean, he threads it. He's unbelievable. I'll get into him a little more, but I was disappointed. Not that I wanted them to succeed. I was just disappointed at how the Bills defense looked. It's like everyone's going to talk about Josh Allen, which, yeah, he didn't have his best game. He might have even taken a step back this year, but the Bills defense looked really suspect and they did not tackle well at all. There were a lot of plays where Bengals would have a 2nd and 3, 3rd and 3, and it's a 15-yard gain. You just can't have that.
I think you brought up a great point. The national media is going to talk about Josh Allen and him regressing in the QB spot and one of the best QBs in the league. But you brought up a great point. The past couple of the seasons, the Bills, okay, going into last year playing you guys in divisional round, the Bills had the number one scoring defense. This year coming into it, they have the number two scoring defense. But it's like each year their defense hasn't really came up to play or played up to par. If you look at your game, everyone like they changed the rule literally to help benefit the Bills. I mean, we gotta just say that because that's what it was. But if you go look at that game, there's no way in hell that you guys should have been able to go 13 seconds respectfully, despite having Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey. 13 seconds to go and get in field goal range? No, that shouldn't be a thing. And then you couple that loss, then you guys go right back, first possession and go down and score. That's why I changed the rule. But then you go this year and just flat out outclass. You let a third, and it's not to disrespect the Bills, but a third stringer put up 31 points on you. Respectfully. I mean, they had Tyreek Hill, they had Jalen Waddle, but this is not Tua. This is a third string quarterback. Then you can
Yeah.
follow that, the next game, and you give up, 27. Really should have been 31 points because I thought that was a catch. But you give that up at home. So when are we going to start questioning maybe the Bills' defense? I
Well,
know a lot of
people
the
are
blame.
saying, was Von Miller that valuable?
He is valuable, but your defense shouldn't be predicated on just one sole player. Let's be honest. That's like saying, okay, Chris Jones doesn't play. He's the whole Chiefs defense. Like, no, you should be able to have other players. It's a collective team game. It shouldn't be one player just dominating the whole thing. You have elite safeties. Jordan Poyer played. Tre'Davious White played. They're considered elite players in the game. You can't get anything. Ed Oliver they still had. So I think Craig brought up a great point. It doesn't get mentioned enough. Everybody's going to talk about Josh Allen and what happened. But it is the defense lately, too, because there's no way how they were competing going back and forth with the Chiefs that the Chiefs were able to go down with 13 seconds, respectfully. But the eyes got to be more, I think, as you mentioned, on the defense.
Yeah, there's definitely a letdown. Then when you get in that hole, uh, and then Buffalo's trying to pass their way back into it. It's like Josh Allen, he's known for the deep ball. They had trouble connecting on that. He missed a couple throws. Definitely did not have his best season, but I just think at the end of the day, all the credit has to be on Joe Burrow, not just his play. It's the leadership, it's the focus, it's how he shows up on game day. I think it's just another big statement for him. You can't say enough good things about what Joe Burrow brings to the table. It's just incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think they were ready. And that's what I've been lamenting all year when I was telling Craig. I know he used to be like, why does Najee keep bringing this up? He's like, every podcast we've done this year, he's talking about running the football, running the football, running football. I know I had to make you sick with talking about it, but that's what allowed us to win that game. We rushed for over 170 plus yards. Bills were in a cover two pretty much the whole game. So when you run the football, the beaters to a cover two is throwing across the middle, which is why Hayden Hurst was able to eat in this game. 5 catches, 59 yards, a touchdown. Joe Mixon rushed for over 105 yards. When you have a team and you can rush the football, it brings the safety or the linebacker up. Then you can predicate on that and you can run a double move or you can run a play action and get your receivers open. When they start coming up, then you have single coverage on the outside. You already have three weapons in Chase, Higgins, Boyd that you can use. Then they're in one-on-one coverage. They're going to beat man coverage all day long. So then it puts the defense in a quandary. It's like, oh, what are we going to do? They're on their heels. They don't know what you're going to run. That's why I've been lamenting that all season. And it showed in the Buffalo game. They were able to run the football. They were getting 6 yards per play on first down. That is a 2nd and 4 all day. You have the complete playbook at your disposal. So that's what stood out to me. Able to do that. That's why they were able to win.
Yep. And Joe Burrow is probably the best at throwing downfield. He does. It's not these short dump off routes. It's not shovel passes. He can throw into the coverage, and so when you have a quarterback that can do that, and then you also run the ball, I mean, the defense was really in a bind. But I just they still didn't tackle well.
No.
You guys got tons of yards after contact. They didn't seem to be able to play where it's like you're going to force them into anything resembling a third and long. I mean, they just got ran all over. And so, I mean, that was impressive. And I thought the offensive line would struggle a little more, but just credit to them. They really did play well as a group. They had some key blocks in some of those plays where they would turn a 3rd and 2 into a 10-yard gain, and just the sustained drives you had just absolutely killed the Bills. Took the fans out of the game early and just had them trying to play catch up for sure.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll leave it there. I mean, again, a great performance. Burrow steps up once again, but great overall team performance. Real quick before we transition, I'm going to say I want to shout out the defense, what they were able to do in this game. Only 10 points against a high potent, powered, Bills offense shutting down pretty much Stephon Diggs with 4 catches for 35 yards. Shout out to them and the pressure they were able to create. And those delayed blitzes that Lou Rumo had with Mike Hilton was a difference maker. If you guys don't know, Hilton went to Sandy Creek high school here in Georgia. He was incredible all game long. To be that small, 5'9", and to be hitting like that is insane. So I wanted to shout him out especially. He played excellent in that game. But let's go to Mahomes and let's go to the Chiefs. Good win. I thought against Jacksonville, team on the rise, a couple pieces away. I think they got to get an edge rusher besides Trayvon Walker, a couple more pieces on the defensive side of the ball. But I thought for what they had, I thought they competed well. It takes time to build up. Like I said, Chiefs is not no slouch. Chiefs is a real deal. And I want to shout out Mahomes. It wasn't just him, obviously, but you know, it's the same thing with the Chiefs. They have a running game now. That's something to keep an eye on. Maybe not had it the years past, but Isaiah Pacheco can run that football, and that's going to keep defenses on edge. And you don't know what they're going to run. And for Holmes to just battle through that injury and to play well and hit Travis Kelce, I don't know what Jacksonville was doing because that would have been number one on my scouting report. For him to go for 14, 98, and 2 touchdowns, I mean that's crazy. You got to do something. Double team, make somebody else beat you. But I thought they had a great game plan going into the game. Jacksonville didn't know they was doing. And shout out to Chad Henne. I mean, he came into the game when Mahomes got hurt, put them on a 99-yard drive, got him down there and got a touchdown. So I think regardless if Mahomes would have played in the second half or didn't, I think the Chiefs still would have won. They had a great game plan going into the game.
Yeah, I think with the Mahomes high ankle sprain, it does add an interesting question to this next matchup because what is Mahomes known for? It's Magic Mahomes. He ad libs. He scrambles around, buys time, and then just has an exceptional ability that we don't even see in anyone else, where he just is able to make something that just catches everyone off guard. I mean, there's plays where even like I'm watching, I'm like, I did not expect it to go there. It's like he's so good at it. The way he scrambles just makes these plays. You take that away, and now it's okay. Pacheco, Kadarius Toney, he might come in and take a handoff or run these routes. So it's gonna force them to have Mahomes get the ball out quicker. He's not going to be able to run around, and they're going to have to adapt the game plan, which I think they can do. But then you're possibly missing the magic of Mahomes just doing what he does, which some fans, I mean, they obviously aren't happy he's injured, but they would like to see them not rely on that as much. So, I mean, that's going to be interesting, but I do think they're going to really adapt. And then you have to feel good seeing Chad Henne come in and not skip a beat with the offense. I think it says a lot about that you can plug in a guy, a backup, and the offense can still find ways to get the ball downfield, be creative, and just draw things up the right situation. So a tough injury for sure, but I think that's the biggest question mark. Mahomes without that ad lib and magic that he typically have in this game, he's going to have to get rid of the ball fast.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And, maybe he'll watch some film on some of the quarterbacks get off fast. Tom Brady's one of them. Burrow's another. 2.5 seconds, the ball's out of their hands. So I think the Chiefs will come out with kind of a quick passing game. I think which will be smart, maybe more screen plays, maybe more hitch routes. Just things to get the ball in his hands quickly. I mean, Travis Kelsey is one of the best at doing that. Running a 2 3 yard hitch or curl route and being open. So look for a lot of those with the Chiefs. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. You're gonna have to be able to, win. We'll see what Lou Anarumo disguises up, decides to run some delayed blitzes, or you're gonna have to be ready. You're gonna have to make adjustments in game, and you're gonna have to just make them uncomfortable as best you can. And we'll see how he comes. And like I said, I hope a fully healthy Mahomes. When I play teams, I like the quarterback to be fully healthy. Maybe he won't be, but I definitely hope he plays. He's one of the best in the game. And we like playing the best of the best, and that's what Mahomes is. That's what the Chiefs is. They've been there 5 straight times for a reason. So when the Bills and Bengals play, I mean not the Bills, I'm sorry. When the Bengals and Chiefs play, it's always a good game in my opinion, and I think it'll be another good one on Sunday. And yeah, just I think it'll be really intriguing to see what game plan to come out with. I wouldn't be shocked if they start running the ball to start, just to kind of get them in a rhythm, and that'll lead to other things. So we'll see. And then Jacksonville, like I said again, next year they got a team I think is going to look really good. I mean, as one of the persons in the office mentioned to me, they'll have Calvin Ridley, next year. Pair that with Christian Kirk. Unfortunately, Evan Ingram's on a 1 year deal, so we'll see if they're able to bring him back. But then you still got Travis Etienne. You got the coach. So it's just a couple more pieces they need for Jacksonville to possibly be dangerous. I think they got the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? To do it and do some damage. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see them back again. And I think that division AFC South, it's winnable, man. They showed it this
100%.
year. They were 3-8 at one point. They won, I think, like 5 straight or something like that. It's a winnable division. Houston's a question mark. Indianapolis is a question mark. They can't get that QB position right. Same thing with Houston. Tennessee, we don't know. Tennessee might regress a lot. They missed the playoffs after going 7-3. Um, I don't know. So that the division's for the taking for sure. So that was interesting. But what do you think of the beatdown Philly gave the Giants?
Yeah, I was blown away watching that entire game. I mean, the way Philadelphia came out, Jalen Hurts, just 40-yard pass right away, the biggest play of the game. The way they pounded the ball running, would they have like 240 yards?
Yeah, 250.
So we talk a lot about what's like surrounding the quarterback. I mean, that's the most perfect situation you can imagine. You have this big offensive line, great running backs, and then Jalen Hurts. He's so efficient. That game, what was it, like 18 of 24?
I think
If
so.
he's doing that, they're going to win every game. Like,
Right.
I'm sorry. It's just the
It's the truth.
combination with their run game that's just able to pound the ball downfield, and then that efficiency from Hurts. They are really dangerous. I couldn't have been more impressed. I thought they were outstanding.
Yeah, I don't disagree. That was an impressive win. That was a wire to wire dominant victory, 28-0 at the half. I mean, you can't play no better. And I know John said, well, this time it'll be different, but clearly it wasn't. And that was my thing going into that game. It was a talent discrepancy. I thought the Giants didn't have the talent to match up with Philly. Philly just has too much talent at all the positions: receiver, running back. Their offensive line has 3 Pro Bowlers, all pro type of guys. Their defensive line, they're third most in NFL history in sacks this past season. I mean, they just got studs, man.
Mm-hmm.
Safety position, the corner position. So they got a bunch of really good pieces, and Howie Roseman deserves credit. He put together a really good roster, and as Craig alluded to, if they're doing that, they're going to be tough to beat. I mean, if they're doing that and Jalen Hurts is efficient, I think they said he's not 100%, but if they're doing that kind of things like that, that's a tough out, man. So shout out to them for that dominant victory. And I can't wait to see how they're going to look against San Fran. And mentioning San Fran, let's talk about the Cowboys game. Um, well, actually, no, before we go to that, I'll say about the Giants. Saquon Barkley obviously wants to be there. Daniel Jones, again, he won a playoff game this year. He had a really good coach, but again, it's the talent discrepancy. He needs more weapons, man. He needs a true number one receiver. I can't really judge a quarterback till you give him a true number one. Same questions were asked about Josh Allen till he got Stephon Diggs. Questions not really asked as much anymore. You gotta go get him a number one receiver. You gotta get him some more weapons on the outside. You need some speed. He need more than just Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is obviously a good running back, but as you know, that's one of those positions you're not gonna last a long time. So you have to be, cognizant of that when you're trying to offer him a contract extension, and you got to think about your other positions as well. So I think it'll be intriguing to see what they do in the offseason, if they're going to re-sign him or if they're going to try to move in a different direction. But you got always the playoffs. I know he didn't have a good game against Philly, but you got to think about, okay, did we surround him with the right weapons? Philly did that. The year before was questions about Jalen Hurts. Oh, how good is he? They only had Devontae Smith and a couple other receivers. They got rid of Jalen Rager. They traded for A.J. Brown. They still had Goddard and Quez Walkers on the roster, and he added some different pieces to help him out. So maybe the Giants take a page out of the Philly playbook.
Yeah, great points. But Philadelphia, 260 rushing yards. They get 5 sacks defensively.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts plays just a great game. Also takes the 9 carries, runs in a touchdown. I mean, they just looked so outstanding. And I mean, the Giants just had no chance in that one. I think you're right, though. They definitely need more weapons offensively.
Yeah.
They did look good the previous week, but I just thought, in terms of who I was impressed with most, the Eagles really looked tough. And I just think they have a really big offense as well. Just looking at their offensive line, the running backs, Jalen Hurts, it's just they are big, they are mean, and they are really dangerous. So we'll
Yeah.
get into the pick in the next round, but yeah, it was my first like real game watching Philly. I've seen like the highlights and just start to finish. I'm like, they look like a team that can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they do, man. They're something for real. Let's talk about the last game, the Cowboys in San Fran. I got a whole rant on the Cowboys. It's nothing bad. But I'll let Craig start with his analysis
Yep.
of what he's seen in the game, and then I'll go with my Cowboys rant.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I think my first takeaway is I think it just shows how bad Tampa was this year. The fact that the Cowboys just demolished them, and then it's just you're watching it and you can tell that Cowboys fans just have to be frustrated because they've seen this before. Um, just they just looked confused. They did not look like they were on a rhythm, and there were plays. I have nothing against Ezekiel Elliott, but I mean he's out there, and it's just look. He just looks out of place almost. It's like they're trying to like run a arrow pass to him. He's trying to catch it with one hand. The throw's off. He's backpedaling. Just goes out of bounds. It's like, really, that's the play you guys are running? This is the playoffs right now. It's like they just had so many sloppy plays, embarrassing plays, and I just thought it was a bad follow up for sure. They did not look good at all.
Yeah, real quick, shout out San Fran, their defense. They performed like how I thought they would. They only held them to 12 points. It was a defensive game. I thought San Fran had a little bit more talent than Dallas, but credit to Dallas. I'm gonna talk about them in a second. But I think San Fran showed me some things that they're good, but they can be beaten. Having that third stringer, you're able to get a little bit of pressure on them and make them feel uncomfortable. He did make some throws now. He did make some throws to George Kittle, but they shut down pretty much Christian McCaffrey. He only had about 30 yards rushing. Did have the touchdown, but they pretty much shut him down. Same thing with Debo Samuel. That's the counter to beating San Fran. You got to have some speed on your edge. You got to have a good player like a Michael Parsons. DeMarcus Lawrence was out there flying to the ball. Their safeties was coming up. That is what you got to have if you're going to be able to beat San Fran. You got to have some speed. You got to have some sure tackle. I thought Dallas did a good job of tackling defensively, making it tough for them. So San Fran is a good team, but I think it's going to be really tricky, especially next matchup when we talk about it in a second. That offensive line for Philly, that big line against that really good stout defensive front for the San Francisco 49ers. And they got probably the best, linebacker tandem with Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, Alshear. They probably got one of the best linebacker tandems in the league and the best linebacker in the league in Fred Warner. So that'll be intriguing to see. But I will say this about Dallas. Played a really good game, played tough, gave a lot of energy. Your defense, for the most part, kept you in the game. Defense can't play no better. So Dak threw 2 interceptions, one in the red zone, one early in the game. They only got 3 points. The defense only allowed 3 points. Like at half, I think it was like 9-6. You can't ask your defense to play any better against those kind of weapons, and they play to that kind of a level. You can't ask your defense to play any better. So I thought they played outstanding, and it just comes down to I think Zeke, you got to cut him. Hate to say it, you got to cut him after this season. After Tony Pollard went down, they had no answers. They couldn't figure out anything offensively. They looked like a shell of themselves. And I think they got a top 10 tight end in Dalton Schultz. is another weapon you can use. And CD really proved he's a number one receiver as far as, you can get him the ball in space. He can go up and make contested plays and catches. He can go across the middle of the field. He showed me he's a top 5 receiver in this game right now, I think. So the question is, does Dallas need to blow this thing up? No, Dallas doesn't need to blow it up. Dallas are a couple of pieces away from being this is a Super Bowl. Trust me, I don't say this lightly. I'm not even a fan of Dallas. But Dallas has a Super Bowl winning roster right now. Right now, they have a Super Bowl winning roster. It is the quarterback position, which I've been lamenting for a long time with Dak. Unfortunately, 9 seasons, Craig, only 2 playoff wins. That's not getting it done. I'm sorry, it's not getting it done. Okay, he had a great game. I gave him his praise last week when he pretty much blew out Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He had over 305 yards, 4 touchdowns. But you got to be thinking next season, I got to get a quarterback in the 3rd round. I might need to trade up and maybe make a trade with some assets and go get a Justin Fields. Maybe go trade up and get a quarterback because a 3rd stringer, a rookie, a 7th round pick should not be outplaying you. I'm sorry. That's just not a thing. You're a veteran. You should not be getting outplayed by a rookie. Makes no sense at all. You have all the weapons. You have to play better than that. That is not how you play coming into the game. So, Dallas, again, I saw how the fans reacted, punching TVs, throwing TVs out, running over with their trucks. The fans were pretty angry.
Throwing
jerseys, yeah, burning jerseys. I get it. I'm a Bengals fan. I get it. I've been through it. I know it. But you have a Super Bowl winning roster. You got to get one position correct and add a couple more pieces. Go get Bijan Robinson in this draft if you can. If you have to make a trade, go get him to be your kind of backup running back along with Tony Pollard when he comes back healthy. You'll be just fine. But you got to figure out the quarterback position. That's my rent to the Cowboys. Y'all have a Super Bowl winning roster right now.
Yep. You were saying that they should probably go running back first.
Yeah.
Maybe quarterback in 2nd round,
3rd round,
3rd
yeah.
round.
Yeah.
And then Dak becomes a free agent after the 2024 season. So I think you stick with him one more year,
Yep.
see what he can do, throw him into a quarterback competition. And then, as you said, you got great talent around him. So there is a possible extra 2 to 3 years, I believe, on his contract, but he also does become a free agent after this year. So I think they're just going to stick it out one more year, see if he can get it done again. But it was disappointing. And you said it right there, just 2 playoff wins. You just see there's just that clutch factor, the confidence is just missing at the end of the game.
Yeah, it is. It is. Tell me. He has some game-winning drives, but tell me when in the playoffs he's come up big for his team and he's made the throws, he's made the plays in order to put them in position to win a playoff game. Besides maybe last week, when has he done that?
Yeah, and even when it's like a possible catchable ball and the receiver drops it, it's like I'm to the point where I'd still even blame that on the quarterback because some guys just have the magic touch. It's like they just make those throws, the receiver makes the outstanding catch. It's like if the team itself isn't able to do it, it's like it is the quarterback.
Look at the final drive. Did you see the last 2 minutes? He has Michael Gallup open across the field. He beats the corner. He throws it behind him and makes him have to stretch up to get it. That was another play.
Yep.
Then he overthrows the receiver of the tight end across the middle. It's nearly a pick six. So it's like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? So it's just he's not clutch, respectfully, and you got to just think about moving on. And then real quick on the thing that's saying that they should blow it up. That's like saying last year or even this year. Let's say San Fran comes up short. That's like saying they should blow up their roster. No, you don't blow it up. You have too much talent on the roster to do that. The problem with the 49ers has been the quarterback just not coming up when they've needed it the most. They've been to 3 out of the last 4 NFC Championship games. So that goes to show you, no, you don't blow it up. You try to figure out a position best as you can. You know what I'm saying? You do what you can do, advocate the resources to it, or allocate the resources to it, and then, you try to get that position correct. It's a tough position to evaluate, but you want to get that position right.
Yeah, but it's a shame because, as you said, the defense played so well.
Yeah.
That was a game they could have come out and stolen. San Francisco is a great team, and they were in it. But ultimately, I think they would have fallen to Philadelphia anyway.
Interesting. I mean, that one would have been bulletin board material. You got a rival. You're 1-1 on the series so far this season. I mean, yeah, that would have been really, really intriguing. And then both quarterbacks are healthy. Yeah, that would have been intriguing. But let's look ahead to championship matchups. Let's go ahead and do our preview and our picks now. You want to start NFC or AFC?
Start NFC.
All right, NFC. Craig, who you got? Philly or San Fran?
So I think you said it though. It's going to be a great matchup with the Philadelphia physicality up front against that great San Francisco defense. You look at San Francisco's offense. We know Kyle Shanahan's going to be trying to be creative, find ways to protect Purdy, keep that defensive kind of guessing, get McCaffrey more involved. But I just think I like Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Like what I saw from him. You see how valuable he's been since returning. Like their ability to run the ball 260 yards. I got to go with Philly. They impressed me so much last week, looking like a Super Bowl team, and I think they're really dangerous.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Philly too. San Fran has a really good team, like I mentioned, but I think they have some areas that you can kind of take advantage of. I think Dallas exposed that a little bit. They got weapons. You're gonna have to be able to kind of slow down McCaffrey. If you let him cook you on defense, and you don't have a game plan for him. I mean, look out. That's gonna be tough. But on both sides of the ball in the trenches, I mean, even San Fran's offensive line has three Pro Bowlers. Left tackle is one of the best in the game. Trent Williams. It'll be interesting to see how much time they're able to give Brock Purdy with that kind of a defensive line that has over um, 70 70 sacks in the season, third most in the NFL. I mean, that's going to be just an intriguing matchup to see. And I don't know. I mean, I know there's a lot of hype train on Brock Purdy, but I just haven't seen it. I don't know. I mean, I've tried and looked at some film, but we'll see. This is a big game. This is the NFC Championship. This is a chance to go to the Super Bowl, biggest game in the world almost. Um, so let's see what Jimmy Cash. They said Phillies versus Cincy. Philly
Philly
wins
wins
it
it all.
all.
Book
Book
it.
it. Ooh.
I would not be surprised, Jimmy.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I
I'm
wouldn't
telling you,
be
I was
either.
watching that game and just like I just seen them come out of the tunnel. I was like, yeah, they don't look like our team. They don't. Those guys are beast, and they just, I mean, yeah, downhill football. Just Jalen Hurts chilling,
they
only having to throw 24 passes. I mean, they're
mhm.
just so comfortable in what they're doing.
That's the formula though. And the coaches got to realize that. They got to be able to have Jalen Hurts be efficient. They got to be able to run the football. If you go with that pass happy stuff that they've been doing, I don't see it. But they have the team to be dangerous. And if they do what they did against the Giants, good luck. But I think it'll be a good game. I can't wait to see how they're going to play and how Purdy's going to be able to perform. That'll be a really good game. But yeah, I'm going to go Philly. And I actually have a thing I think can expose Philly, but this is not the round to do that. If you guys want me to reveal it now, let me know. But I can reveal it in the championship round. But all is an elite quarterback, and the AFC both have that. I think that can expose Philly just a little bit.
So you'd say it'd come down to the offense, not necessarily
You know,
trying to stop their offense, but
no,
yeah, the other quarterback.
because I say that because just to real quick to say, Philly has a tendency to run a lot of zone, right? They're not a pressure team. They're not going to run these disguised blitzes and packages and bring their safety down and run corner blitzes. They're going to run a cover two, a cover three, or a cover four. And the quarterbacks that tears that up is Mahomes and Burrow.
Mhm.
So they can get home with the front four, without a doubt. They're one of the best in the league, but at least susceptibility because if you have Mahomes, who's going to obviously come prepared in the game, and if he goes, he's going to freaking tear that apart. Spite would say, "Oh, he's injured, whatever." They have the tight end. The cover two, what's the beater for it? Over the middle of the field. Y'all have the tight end, one of the best probably ever to do that. I think that would tear it up. They would have to do different things in order to do that. That's acceptable. If you put Cincy in there, it's the same thing. Okay, well, he's not gonna have a lot of time to throw. His backups in the game. Whatever. All Cincy would have to do is the same formula they had against the Bills, right? Running the football, creating enough time. Burrow is the fastest thrower of the football at 2.5 seconds. I think second fastest to Brady, right? Quick passing game, same thing you guys do. Running the football, going across the middle. That is Philly's weakness. If you watch their games and you see the coverage that they run, that is Philly's biggest weakness across the middle with their linebackers. Unfortunately, I don't think San Fran has it to beat them in doing that. They do have George Kittle, yes, but that's a tough position to put a rookie quarterback in. On the other side, AFC, you got two elite quarterbacks. They can take advantage of that.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So you have the zone defense, and as I said, Burrow throws into coverage better than any quarterback I see right now.
I'm telling you.
Does not matter. He know well because he just knows it. It's not that he's, oh, I need to force it in. I mean, he understands the coverage so well that that window. I mean, he's just on a different speed than everyone else. I mean, it's unbelievable. Couldn't be more impressed. And as I said last week, it's sacrilegious to pick against him, and I did because I bought the hype. I bought the psyop. I thought that because they were trying to sell all these
That's what they
tickets,
wanted, though.
yeah, I was like, oh, surely they wouldn't have gone through all this effort if the Bills were just going to come out and get beat like they did. But yeah, they got beat pretty badly, and all the credit to them. But I want to talk about this next matchup because I'm definitely a little nervous. Uh, just what it would mean for Burrow to go 4-0 against Mahomes head to head, and
Ooh wee.
that would be
Yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, so Cincy, Cincinnati, and the Chiefs. I don't know. What I know, what I can tell you this is these teams are going to be competing for a long time, right? It reminds me of, and Jimmy, you call me crazy. I know you out there listening. Reminds me of a Brady Manning. It does. I mean, you can pick your pick who's Brady, who's Manning, but it reminds me of that rivalry. Those two going neck and neck, going head to head. Um, Sometimes Manning being able to have enough to beat Brady. Most of the time, Brady coming up and winning. Um, so I think that's what it reminds me of more so. Obviously, these guys are still young in their career. We don't know how it's going to play out. But those two, I mean, savants of the game, intelligent, knowing their reads, knowing where to throw the football, being, a leading coverage, one having kind of those all platform plays. So it's going to be tough. And, I really wish Mahomes was 100% healthy, but it's part of the game. But how do you feel, Craig, kind of going to this game?
I thought last year was so. I'm not during the regular season. Last year's AFC Championship game. It's so disappointing from a Chiefs fan because we dominated the first half and then just completely looked lost in the second half. You guys stormed back, got the win. So I thought that was a winnable matchup. This time around, I think you guys are more familiar with how to defend against the Chiefs. I think you guys have been producing key turnovers in these close games to come away with wins. You guys tackle extremely well. That's going to be huge. And then I'm worried about third downs. The Chiefs were the best in the league at 3rd and 10 plus, but without that mobility from Mahomes, they're going to have to. It's just going to be a lot harder for them to keep the chains moving without his potential to take off and run the ball. So I think it's going to be a much different game plan. It's all going to depend on how healthy Mahomes' ankle is. But I definitely, when I look at the Bengals and what Joe Burrow's been doing, Joe Mixon running the ball, defense is tackled. I think you guys are a really dangerous matchup, but obviously I'm going to pick the Chiefs.
Obviously, you're a fan. Why would you not pick the Chiefs? No, I mean, it's gonna be intriguing, man. I mean, it's a lot on the line again. I mean, how rare can you say another rematch? You know what I'm saying? The AFC champion. You don't that's why I said Manning Brady reminds me of. You don't see that a lot. And obviously this is a new era, as you mentioned, Jimmy. I think you said the age of QBs that are left. It's a good point. I think Hurts is what 24, Mahomes 27, Burrow 26. I think Purdy's what 23. So yeah, this is a new era of quarterbacks for sure, without a doubt. So these might be the fixtures, each year competing and contending for a championship. So again, um, it's gonna be tough, man. We're gonna have to be ready. This is not no slot. Y'all are gonna come out ready. Y'all, I know all week long your coach is gonna say they're 3-0 against us. They're 3-0 against us. They're 3-0 against us. So what are we gonna do different? So that's gonna be said, and we cannot take you guys lightly. Like I said, y'all are still the creme de la creme of the AFC. Despite us going last year, we got to handle our business. So I think what's gonna be key for us: starting early, fast start, um, getting up ahead early, leading on the ground game again, not being pass happy. The Bills game is a perfect example of not being pass happy, what it can lead to, and it lets a balance on both sides of the ball, and it allows you to be able to, get good reads on the offense, open throws down the middle of the field. We got the weaponry to be dangerous. We got the quarterback. We know that without a doubt. So it's going to be getting a good start and then creating pressure on Mahomes. Just can't make him feel comfortable, man. You can't. If not, he's going to slice and dice you all game long. So that'll be the key. But I think this is going to be the best game all weekend. Despite Philly and San Fran, I think it's going to be a good game too. But I think it's going to be the best game.
Yeah, you can't beat it with the two quarterbacks.
No.
Every time either one of them has the ball in their hand, it's just going to be about responding to what the other one did on the previous drive. It always has that feel. It's just spectacular playmaking against spectacular playmaking. Those two leaders, those two superstars, that's what's going to be exciting. That's what's going to draw all the attention for sure. And just how well they're able to make the right decisions, keep their team moving, make the clutch plays. That's doesn't get better than that quarterback matchup, and just the differences in style. Will Mahomes still have that magic when they get in the red zone? Just all the creative designs, the chess match aspect of it. I mean, we know it's going to be just a great game.
Yeah, and obviously, I'm taking Cincy. That's my favorite team. But I will say, Craig brings up great points. One of them was a couple weeks ago. I think he was talking about the Bills matchup, but winning in the red zone and winning once you hit past the 20-yard line. Touchdowns. Actually, we talked previous this season when they played. Who is going to win in the red zone? Will it be field goals or will it be touchdowns? That's going to be the key, because if one can up the other in that usually what the game kind of comes down to. And the last game, all our games with you guys are close. And what did it come down to last time? You guys are winning, going on that big drive in the fourth quarter, 13 minutes left. Jermaine Pratt forces the fumble, changes the momentum of the game. So look for that. Close-knit game, possibly a turnover or a big play or something to change kind of the momentum of it. Look for that in this game as well. But I think it's one of the best matchups, man.
Yep. I think the other player that's the most important in this game is Chris Jones. By far, he is an absolute beast. They're going to need him in the run game. They're going to need him to disrupt, free up kind of pressure for his teammates to get out there, maybe get some tackles for loss. He's just such a key part to what the Chiefs have been able to do this year. Definitely the best player on that defensive side of the ball. I think if he has a big impact, that could be the difference.
It could be. And ironically, he's not had a sack against the Bengals in his career yet.
Interesting.
That's really interesting. I seen that stat the other day. Yeah. So we'll see if he's able to. I think, his success in Frank Clark. He is. Absolutely. So we'll see if he can have success in the interior of the line. But let's address this question really quick. So it says, do you guys have a score, two fans against each other? I'm never good with scores, but I'll throw one out there for you, Jimmy. I'm going to go close game, late drive, 30-27, Bengals.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm going to go.
Yes, sir.
28-24.
It's a good one, too. 28-24. Do you have it, Jimmy? 30-27. I thought Bengals, Craig got 28-24 Chiefs. So we'll be back here Tuesday, man, to see and react to the game, of course, and give our thoughts on both of the championship matchups and, talk obviously more about.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a shootout. I can't see either quarterback taking. I mean, obviously, these guys are the best of the best, but I just don't think they're going to take chances in this game. It's about trying to have the ball last and staying in control. And so if the Chiefs get in that situation where they get the 4-point lead, and since he can't answer with a field goal, that's where I think it might come down to that.
Great, it's a great point, man. Real good point.
But gosh, I'm a little nervous if you can't tell.
It'll be a
4-0 against Mahomes would be. It's done. The conversation's over. I mean, Joe Burrow's the new king of the NFL if that happens.
Whew. That'd be a heck of a convo, man. That'd be a heck of a convo. We'll see, man. It'll be interesting. Mahomes is no joke, man. Mahomes has pretty much beat everybody else, though.
Yep.
That's the crazy part. He's beaten Allen multiple times. He's beaten Trevor Lawrence. He's beaten Justin Herbert. He's beaten everybody.
Yeah, and because of Mahomes and Burrow, it's like a quarterback like Josh Allen, he might end up having that Reggie Miller or Charles Barkley career where
Oh,
he never
oh,
wins a
I
title.
saw that. You know what the comp was I saw this week? They said,
Uh,
what if Josh Allen is the Phillip Rivers of this generation?
ooh, that's an even better.
Mm.
Yeah.
I was like, what if Josh Allen is the Phillip Rivers of this generation?
I think Justin Herbert might be the Philip Rivers of this generation.
But it's like, yeah, you wouldn't be able to fault him too much because you have those two exceptional
Every year.
winners. Yeah.
Yeah. It begs the question. I still think Allen can win a Super Bowl before it's said and done, but it will be tough. Everything about it, and we're going to wrap up. If we think about it, this was the year everything was laid out for them. They were the preseason Super Bowl favorites. He was a preseason MVP favorite. They did a neutral site for the AFC Championship game. They didn't even give us a shot at hosting a game. So this was the year really for Buffalo.
Yeah. I was expecting them to get better throughout the year. They never had that big out. I never saw it, but I'm still solid, and it's just tough for them as Bills fans. Just you mentioned it, how they lost last year. That's just unbelievable, unimaginable. They thought they had that 1-1.
Yep.
People say maybe you should have kicked it. I don't know. I don't think they thought in any way they were going to be
13
able to do that.
seconds.
Yeah.
No. Like, come on. I wouldn't have thought the same either. But that's what we got for today, man. A lot of fun. We can't wait to react next week. Thank you, Jimmy, for being our loyal fan and always tuning into our show. We'll be back next Tuesday, same time at noon for
What's
more.
Jimmy's final score?
Oh, we got a question for you, Jimmy. Let's see what he puts.
He said since he's going to win, so but he's picking Philly all the way.
I think Philly can be beat in the Super Bowl. My dad's a Philly fan, by the way, Jimmy. But I think he can be. I think they could be beat. Let's see if he responds. Still shows he's showing it. Close it in the chat. I'm gonna just say final score. If he responds. Oh.
Ooh, nice.
That's bold. 30-20.
I would
That's a
not
bold
be
one.
surprised.
Mm,
I do not think the Chiefs will score more than 4 touchdowns. That's for sure.
interesting. Wow, Jimmy, that's a bold pick, man. That's a bold
Very
pick.
nice. That'd be a lot of momentum going into the big one.
That would be intriguing. But thanks again, man, for tuning in. Appreciate all our supporters and followers and listeners. Gonna keep it going. We'll be back next Tuesday. Make sure you tune into Craig's show tomorrow. Have some lovely guests on. That'll be on NFHS Network. He'll be sending out the link, pretty sure tomorrow. And I'll be back Thursday for my show. Got some guests coming on. I'm gonna try to get Pebblebrook's head basketball coach after the win against Norcross, and then obviously Griffin's women's head coach to see when they play Baldwin how they've been performing this season. They are number one in our rankings as well. And then Friday, Craig will be back for the final show of the week. So stay tuned for that. Go to scoreatl.com for all of our scores, our highlights, our articles, and everything. And we'll see you guys soon. Peace.
Good one.